the 4 quadrants are the 4 regions of the Cartesian plane. Do you remember that how did we shift the number line in the anti-clockwise direction? So while naming the quadrants also, we'll name the quadrants in the anti-clockwise direction. So starting with quadrant 1, and if we remember the vertical and the horizontal, the right hand side of the horizontal number line had all positive values and the north of the vertical number line had all positive values. So if I pick up a point in the first quadrant, it will have all the positive values here and all the positive values here. So the part of the number line OY, it denotes the positive side of the x-axis. The entire horizontal number line is known as the x-axis, and the entire y line, that is the vertical line, is known as y-axis. And the x-axis and the y-axis together, they are known as coordinate axis, because there is a coordination between the two values x and y. If I take a point in the first quadrant, I'll have all the positive numbers lying on the x-axis, all the positive numbers of the y-axis. So here the value of x and y both will be positive. Similarly, if I choose a value in the second quadrant, if I choose a point in the second quadrant, I'll have negative values of x and positive values of y. If I choose a point in the third quadrant, I will have negative values of x and negative values of y. If I choose a point in the fourth quadrant, I'll have positive values of x and negative values of y. So one interesting thing, if I look at the vertically opposite quadrants, here both the values of x and y are positive, whereas here both the values of x and y are negative. So they are extremely opposite in sign, the vertically opposite quadrants. Similarly here, if I look at these two vertically opposite quadrants, here the value of x is negative, whereas here the value of x is positive. Here the value of x is positive and here the value of y is negative. So we see that the vertically opposite quadrants, they are extremely opposite in sign. While writing the points x and y, we have to be very careful. There's a proper way of writing the values of x and y. That we'll discuss next. Before we discuss that how do we write a point on the Cartesian plane, we have to name the points using certain special name. The x values are known as abscissa. So the x values, they are known as abscissa, and the y values, they are known as ordinates. And both together they are known as ordered pairs. See, the word ordered pair is very important. And why do we use it? I'll just discuss. Ordered pair or coordinates. So how do we get the x values? Let us first discuss that. We get the x value. Suppose I choose a point 2 on the point. Suppose I choose a point here. Now to get the x value of this point, because this point is a combination of both x and y, because I have not placed it particularly on the horizontal number line or the vertical number line, I have placed it in the Cartesian plane. It is neither lying exactly on the y-axis or on the x-axis. So if I have to locate this point on a Cartesian plane, and if I have to find its x value, that how much to the right or to the left it is lying, then how will I calculate it? I will take its perpendicular distance from the y-axis. So the value of abscissa, how do we calculate it? Perpendicular distance from y-axis. Similarly, if I have to find that what is, so this is the horizontal distance. The vertical distance is the value of y, and how do we get that vertical distance or the value of y? By taking the perpendicular distance from the x-axis. So it's very interesting and very easy to remember. In coordinate geometry, you have to just remember the opposite terms. If I have to find the x value, we have to take the perpendicular distance from the y-axis. If I have to take y value, I'll take the perpendicular distance from the x-axis. So y value is the perpendicular distance from x-axis. Now, why did I call it ordered pair? Why did I call it ordered pair? Because there is a particular way of writing the x coordinate and the y coordinate. What is the way? We write the value of abscissa, that is the x value first, and the y value later. It is a pair of numbers, but it is said to be an ordered pair because we write it in a particular order. Reason? There is no reason as such, but by convention it has been followed. So there is no reason, and you may think of it like that, because we discovered horizontal line first and we were knowing how to place it to the left or to the right, and we know how to place the values of the numbers on a number line which was introduced first. That is why x is written first, and why the vertical number line concept came later. That is why the value of y is written later. This is not actually any reason, or we can say it is not a logical reason, but by convention we follow this. So let's recap. The y coordinate of a point is this perpendicular distance from the x-axis measured along the y-axis, and the x coordinate is the perpendicular distance from the y-axis measured from the x-axis. And I have already discussed that they are called, the x value is known as abscissa and the y value is known as ordinate. So let us start with an example of locating a point. Suppose I choose a point here. Then what will be the coordinates of this point? First I will write the x value. The x value is -2 and within brackets, first bracket, and the y value, the x value will be given by -2 and the y value will be given by +2. How did I calculate the x value? The x value is the horizontal distance and the y value is the vertical distance. This is the vertical distance and this is the horizontal distance. In starting, the coordinates of a point in the coordinate plane, the x coordinate comes first and the y coordinate comes later. That is why they are known as ordered pairs. And this we have already discussed, that the coordinates of P are 4, 3. If I look at point P here, the coordinates of point P, How do we get the x value? By taking the horizontal distance from the y-axis, which will give me 4. And how do I get the y value? By taking the vertical distance from the x-axis, and that will give me the value 3. So, gradually we'll be very fast in locating the points and also about the sign. Let us do a quick exercise. Find the coordinates of the points B, M, L and S. This will be actually fun doing this exercise. Starting with point B. This is my point B. Let us quickly do it. Which point shall I write first? The abscissa or the ordinate? Abscissa stands for x, ordinate for y. So the x value is the perpendicular distance from the y-axis. So always for x, remember the horizontal distance, and for y the vertical distance. So horizontal distance is this. So this horizontal distance, how many units? From 0 to 4. So the x coordinate is 4. What about the y coordinate? The y coordinate is the perpendicular distance from the x-axis. That is a vertical line and it is ending at 3. Now we come to point M. Point M, what is the horizontal distance? Always remember we have to take the horizontal distance first. The horizontal distance is -3. Why -3? As I have discussed in my previous video while doing rational numbers and irrational numbers, the negative and the positive values, they are just the indication of the direction. -3 because it is 3 steps to the left of the number line. So -3 means from origin it is 3 steps to the left. Although distance cannot be negative, but distance along with direction. So -3 implies 3 steps to the left. And when I am talking about the y ordinate, I am talking about the vertical distance. Vertical distance is 4 units to the north. So +4. If I look at point S, for point S, the horizontal distance is 3 steps to the right and the vertical distance is 4 steps to the south. So as I told you, the sign, the negative and the positive, they are just the indication of the directions. North conventionally denoted by positive sign. Why north is denoted by positive sign? Because we denoted the east by positive and we rotated our number line in the anti-clockwise direction. So just remember that the right hand side of the number line, if it stands for positive values, so the point above in a vertical will be positive and points below will be negative.